age, for some, it is unsurprising. And I know that we have a lot of conversation ahead of us for this hour, but I'm going to ask you to do me a really big favor. First of all, take a deep breath through your nose, inhale, and hold it for 3 seconds. And exhale. Sorry, that's, I don't know if breathing makes you uncomfortable on the airwaves in your headphones or in your car, but put your shoulders all the way up to your ears and then let them back down. Just relax a little bit, because this is a hard day for a lot of people. I know that we have the Rittenhouse verdict on our minds. It's obviously the topic of conversation. For me, it started out really as a terrible day when I saw this report from the Chicago Public Schools that there is a Marine Academy in Logan Square where they have known for years that there was sexual harassment and inappropriate relationships between staff and students, and they have known for years, and it was dozens of students. And so when the Rittenhouse verdict came through, I was like, yeah, this is a bad day. There's so much disappointment, and I'm so glad that I have in studio with me a good friend of mine and a radio personality as well. Esmeralda, you're a radio personality. Hi, Esmeralda. How are you? Hi. Good to have you in studio.
Hi. Thank you.
So I listened to a lot of the callers and guests that Joan just had on, and a lot of folks were talking about how angry they are. Are they going to hold his mom responsible? You know, we all, first of all, this is why, and we talk about how elections matter, but this is why state elections matter. Because are there legislators in Wisconsin going, you know what, it should be illegal to have a firearm at a protest? The civilians should not be showing up at a protest ready to help protect property that is not there. I mean,
right.
There are a lot of things, and folks have been talking about how the way the judge gave the directions and the laws of Wisconsin, that this was the outcome that could be expected.
Yeah, I actually, when I started hearing about the judge and all the wacky things he's been doing, I immediately started just looking up online. I'm like, do they have elections for judges like we do here in Chicago and in other places where we can then, whoever lives in that area, vote him out?
Yeah. So get on that. And I don't know if he was appointed, but
right.
but in our own state, and we look at this, and somebody else said, you're not paying attention. The system isn't broken. The judicial system isn't broken. This was what it was designed to do. I don't know if it's designed to do this, but it's not broken because this is what it does do. This is not uncommon. We've seen this for years. And
right.
So are you surprised, or what emotions do you have? See? Me neither.
No, I'm not. I'm not surprised in the least. And to go by what you just said, I think it's designed this way because it was designed by a certain set of people to then have it go this way.
Right.
And it wasn't, that set of people did not have many other people in mind, i.e. brown and black people. They did not have them in mind.
Women.
So,
and that's the same thing as we go to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. To your point, all white men, property owners, many of whom were slave owners. And also, look, the Second Amendment was not designed with assault rifle or whatever. I know we're going to get called, or listeners who are saying, oh, she doesn't even know what the classification of weapons are. No, you know what? I don't. Because I have actually fired many weapons under the supervision of trained professionals on a firing range. I've worked with the Chicago Police Department, with the FBI, to learn how to use a firearm. But I know when the safety's on, I know how to aim and be safe in that way. But the guys who wrote the Constitution and the Second Amendment didn't think they were like, it took them 10 minutes to load a musket. So,
right, yeah, they weren't thinking about automatic weapons that can just shoot down mostly people in a matter of seconds. A crowd of people in a matter of seconds.
Are you worried about vigilante escalation? Because now there are a lot. Obviously, you and I don't follow a lot of the folks on Parler or all the wackadoodles who now are basically saying it's open season on protesters.
Right.
Will you still show up to protests?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. I don't know if that's just me being a little too optimistic.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if people will then take the lead of this, because if that was the case, this would have happened ever since, Who's the guy in Florida?
Trayvon Martin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there would have been the leeway to get away with it.
Right, vigilante.
Yeah.
Saying someone looks suspicious. Although that's what happened in Georgia with the 3 men that are on trial right now for the murder of I can't pronounce
Ahmaud.
his name. Ahmaud.
I believe Ahmaud Arbery.
Arbery.
Yes.
And that, I mean, listening to that testimony, it's interesting that these two trials were going on at the same time. And I've heard the testimony of one of the assailants, one of the murderers, say that, the prosecutor's asking, did he have a weapon? No. Was he, I guess they said that they felt that their lives were in danger because he was trying to take their gun away from them.
Why do you have a gun at him? I'm just like, the man is just running.
Yeah.
He was just running down the street.
Yeah, that's what they said, that he was running toward them.
Oh,
but he had a weapon. Yeah. But when they shot him, I believe what I heard from the testimony, he was running away from them when they shot him. So I guess there's that idea of
delayed fear.
Yes.
Delayed.
The adrenaline of the fear takes over. It's heartbreaking that this is what our justice system is like. Again, elections, we talk about, and it's exhausting to keep saying elections matter. So we need to talk about why they matter. And in Illinois, we need to pay attention to what our legislators are doing. What kind of laws do we have on the books? But the open carry laws in Wisconsin, this jury found that under their own laws in that state, that Kyle Rittenhouse was afraid for his life. And this was, not guilty on all charges.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Can't anymore. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised whatsoever. Which is depressing.
Yes.
At the same time, that I'm not. That's the feeling that I have. But again, and you can't say what are you going to do about it?
Right. We can't. Right. I don't. I wasn't on social media. Someone messaged me before the verdict came down. They work in City Hall, so they were getting some of the information because in Chicago, they want to make sure that if they need to respond, because they took the police department's days off in the event that there is any unrest. And when they messaged, they didn't say what the verdict was. They just said the verdict's in. You're going to find out soon. And I was like, I just knew.
Yeah, I was. I mean, it's been days.
But I was hopeful that because it was days, that meant that they were. I was hoping for a Henry Fonda in the room. Can't we have a Henry Fonda with the 12 angry men? That's the other thing. An all white, I believe, all white jury, maybe one Latino.
Cool. There's no black people? No brown people?
Did you see
they
this?
Could have really, no?
Did
Nobody?
you see the judge when he was talking about the black? A black, the only black? And I was like, how is this? But there's not.
Also the issue is, yes, pay attention to your elections and all that kind of stuff, but it's also who's running.
Right.
That's kind of the thing that's the bothersome thing, that, you could be voting and you're voting every time and you're doing this, but if the people who are running are no good. So I think it's also a thing of hey, if you really know someone or you yourself are maybe I should run. I have experience in da-da-da-da-da. It's like Jamal Cole here on the South Side. He's running for Congress.
I believe so.
Yeah. And he's been just, an activist and community organizer and stuff like that. And he is now running for a seat because he sees that things are not going how they should be.
That was why I ran for state rep.
Yeah, exactly. It's a thing of if you feel strongly, come on, look into it. See if you can do it.
Yeah, I agree. We've got Jim, who is on hold. Jim, what are your thoughts on today's news?
Well, all I can think, I'm just thinking of Gandhi in India, who had huge demonstrations. Never a gun pulled on anybody. Martin Luther King never pulled a gun on anybody. What's curious to me is the 17-year-old kid, why wouldn't he go up there just with his dukes and take on whoever it was? What gives these people power is a gun. And if the only power you get from a gun, in my opinion, I think that you've definitely got to screw loose. You've got to screw loose, in my opinion. Well, if that's the only way you can overpower somebody, is I get a couple guns pulled on me. The one guy says, I'm going to make you eat that gun. So he started shooting at the end, so I had to put my hands over the car, I said, okay, pal. I said, well, you know, what's up? And another guy, I hit a guy in a joint one time. He pulled the gun out of his pants. But that time I rolled on the ground and tried to get out of there. My point is, if you're carrying the gun, you want to overpower people with the gun.
Right.
And to me, I find that to be so uncivilized. What are we coming to in this society? With people with conceal and carry, what do you think? Put it this way: if I can't conceal and carry a gun, what are the odds of me getting that gun out of the holster, putting the safety off, and shooting the perpetrator before the perpetrator? I mean, you might get a few, but
exactly. I think a lot of people think they're Dirty Harry, and they're not.
No, exactly. It's just It's crazy. Well, this is so disappointing. This one was really disappointing because we're sinking slowly and slowly. We lose 1,100 people a day to this disease. That seems to have nobody bats an eye over that anymore. We become so careless. Life becomes so cheap. It's just too much. It's too much. Anyway, Patty,
yes, go. I was going to say, between the shootings at the movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, and then Sandy Hook, and nothing changed really. You put your hands up and go, I guess this is who we are now. This is who we have become, and there's no urgency to change.
The NRA is celebrating tonight because they could probably sell thousands of these replicas of this nutty kid with the gun. They could probably sell 1,000 of those tonight, you know, because people figure, well, I could hold up the Yellow Bowl with this gun. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say. We've got to get federal legislation about, go back on these guns that they can't. This is just too much. Anyway, Patty, thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
Entertaining my thoughts.
Your musings, mine as well. Thank you for entertaining my musings. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend, Jim. Let's take a break here. We're hanging out with Esmeralda Leon. Coming up tonight at 6:30, we have a whiskey and a cookie on the Patty V Show, my Facebook page, and that's where we talk about the news of the week. And sometimes Adam Selzer makes some crank calls, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do one to Kevin McCarthy, just go on and on and on for 8 hours. Let's take a break here. You're listening to WCPT 820. We're driving it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez. The number is 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. The number to call or text us. Right back in a moment.
If you're like most people, you're probably more than a little concerned about the state of the world around us today. Strange times. The stock market all-time highs every day. U.S. debt never been higher right now. Dollars losing value. And let's not forget about inflation, the highest since 2008. Remember what happened in 2008. So, how do you protect your money, your retirement, your savings? Well, many people, just like you, are turning to Old Faithful to protect themselves during these difficult times. And Old Faithful is real gold and silver from the Oxford Gold Group, the kind you can actually hold in your hands and have in your IRA. No better time than the present to protect your future and the future of your family. Call the Oxford Gold Group right now, 833-928-GOLD. They will send you their free guide on investing in gold and silver and answer all of your questions. Protect your money before things get even worse out there. Call the Oxford Gold Group today at 833-928-GOLD. Oxford is here to help you protect your savings and retirement. That's 833-928-GOLD.
We've all been spending more time indoors than usual, but FinishingChicago.com has an offer to update your interior. Whether your space is residential or commercial, for a limited time you can save up to 25% on painting and decorating. FinishingChicago.com has the most dynamic interior spaces available from industry-leading union craftspeople. That's union quality, efficiency, and industry-leading expertise in your home or commercial space. Visit FinishingChicago.com to find a contractor in your area. This unprecedented access to union quality labor at a reduced rate is only available for a limited time. Revitalize your spaces with fine decorative upgrades applied by the most knowledgeable craftspeople in the industry. Whether it's a new color or transforming your walls into something truly special, our contractors have all the options. Take advantage of FinishingChicago.com's Update Your Interior savings before they're gone. For up to 25% off your new finish, start with FinishingChicago.com.
On January 6, 2021, followers of Trump and something called QAnon attempted a coup at the United States Capitol. Who are these people.
I wanna live with the QAnon girl. I could be happy the rest of my life with a QAnon girl.
We are live in the WCPT 820 studios. Joining me is broadcaster Esmeralda Leon. And I know people have a lot of strong feelings tonight. And here's the thing. I have not looked at... There's some folks taking screenshots from Parler about Republicans offering Rittenhouse an intern. And
Right.
It's...
Of course they are.
Yes.
I mean, I don't try to look into it too much because it's just going to make you real mad. And I get it. You want to see what's happening, but also for your sanity.
Exactly. There were a lot of conversations during Trump's administration about how, make sure that you're still having conversations with people. I remember on another radio station, I would indulge conversations about the other side, and I tried very hard to maintain my sanity. And there were nights that were harder than others, especially with the tech screen, which ultimately led to my demise. Because there were some really nasty things, and like they succeeded. Between who we were talking about earlier, there was a coworker at WGN at the other station. Everyone knows where I worked. Who was a MAGA, right? He was through and through. Had it in his office. Did things like. Had his own elements of sabotage. And here's, I think, what is hard for all of us today and on days like this is the injustice of it. Knowing that they were victorious in something that is cruel and was unjust. And the prosecutor, when he said, I'm reading Mark Brown and from the Sun-Times, but he's saying that the prosecutor, based on how the prosecutor fought the case and the laws of Wisconsin, that this was the ultimate outcome that should be expected. Yeah. When the prosecutor says you lose the right to self-defense when you're the one who brought the gun, lead prosecutor Thomas Binger told the jury in his closing arguments. But that's not the law in Wisconsin. You don't lose the right to self-defense. That's not how the laws work. So if that's the prosecutor is arguing, then there was no hope. And Renato Mariotti, earlier this week on Jones' show, was talking about how it is more of like, why was he there? What was his intent? It was, you don't go there with a rifle like this if you don't intend to hurt somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. And to defend someone else's property, like I'm just like, you care that much about some car dealership,
right?
That through and through to actually harm people,
right?
Like they don't have insurance. These things can be covered, right? Like why would you? And then also you're risking your life too,
right? And how are those people so dangerous that they terrified him, but they didn't terrify anybody else, like law enforcement who were actually trained and there to do their jobs?
Yeah.
How is he the only person that murdered anybody? How is it that he was the only one whose life was in danger? It only happened in that moment.
And I get it because he's a 17-year-old that he is in his mind selfish enough to think that he could do something.
Right.
There's all this police everywhere. There's all security and things. And you can do a better job than they can, apparently. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Well, they needed to help them. And they were giving him water and waving him through.
Oh, sure.
He even had his hands up and they're like, oh, yeah, we see you. We see you. We see you. Hey, Dave from Hoffman Estates. What's on your mind? By the way, we have a texter. We have a texter who says that they're asking you not to ask us if we've gotten the mail on the air. That they're like,
I know. I
You do know the mail is a little delayed sometimes as well. So
it was like I told Joan, it was my mistake. I forgot she was a shut-in. I thought she'd get it like when I sent you stuff or whatever. It totally was a mind blank there. And
that's okay.
I apologize. But
what's on your mind, Dave?
I was mentioning to Lady B and that when you guys were talking about judges and that. And voting. Well, a lot of times you go in the voting booth, there's only one, the judge himself. There's no opponent.
Right.
When I see that, I don't vote for them. For the fact that all they got to do is vote for themselves, and they've won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's what you should do. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with them, you don't vote for them because
oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can leave it blank. Nothing happens to your ballot if you leave. I know in the last election, I had to because I could not vote for my Democratic incumbents,
And you get
and
a
I couldn't
few-
vote for the Republicans.
few other offices too, where there's no other opponent. I will not vote for him.
Yeah.
Because they've already won.
Exactly.
But when you're mentioning on the other thing, it's kind of like, talking about that kid going up there. And are you getting to be a thought police when you're trying to think what's in his mind? And go a step further. What happens, what if you'd have been convicted? You'd have turned around and say, well, I was 17. Don't a lot of these times with the gangbangers, they use these young guys, and when they turn 18, their records get expunged?
Yeah, I don't know how any of that works. Yeah, the what if he had been convicted is, I honestly was holding out hope that the reason the jury was out for so long was that somebody was in that room trying to convince somebody they had to do something that showed that there was some justice or something.
But so to your point about the underage, I don't think, I think there's been 16-year-olds, 16-year-olds that have been convicted as adults. They could have done that because it is a murder.
Don't they, when they send them to juvie, don't they, once they hit their 18th birthday, their records are...
No, I don't. I think that's...
It depends.
It's a very... Depends on the case.
Yeah, that's my guess, and probably the state.
Yeah, it's not across the board.
Yeah, I suppose maybe if they do them like an adult, but that's what I thought, that they used to always take those young kids and that, so that way when they turn 18, it wouldn't,
affect their future.
No, I think it's when it's things
crime?
like this. Yeah, it depends on the crime, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
Yep. Thanks, Dave.
All right, be well, guys.
Have a great weekend. Thank you, Dave. I have to read this text to you as, hi, Patty and Esmeralda. I have enjoyed listening to both of you at your former station. I just recently discovered WCPT and love it. We love you, Mary.
Great.
So having both of you on the station in particular is such a joy. You're both so smart, witty, and compassionate.
Oh, wow.
Best health, Mary.
Oh,
Thank
my
you, Mary.
goodness.
I know. I was starting to get a little blush there.
wow.
It was going to be hard to read the whole thing, but you deserve all of that. So, and I appreciate it. So it's always, I don't know. I remember our first time on the air, and maybe it wasn't the actual first time, but it was a Thanksgiving that you and I, because we would just always work, because we always had to justify our existence.
Yeah.
We always had to keep proving, like, if I just show up, if I'm at these events,
if I keep doing all of it, and keep saying yes to things, they'll eventually give me something else. Or when I ask for something, they will think, "Oh, look at all the hard work."
Weren't we crazy?
Really
it was like the stupidest.
It's never really the case.
It's so crazy. It's Anyway, let's move on.
And not even, I'm sure it's happened to many people. I'm sure a lot of people listening
identify with it. Yes, when you are available for everything, and you offer to work for other people's shifts. If you work holidays, you keep thinking. And my husband did this too, so I know a little bit of the corporate world. He would call it justify. That's why I came up with. I have that phrase in my head. My husband Steve would always say he had to do this work for somebody else. They're requesting it from another office. It's outside of my realm of what I'm supposed to be doing, but somebody asked for it, so if I'm vulnerable at all, this will solidify my position here.
Yeah.
Nope, he was one of the first fired. So yes, it happens to people all the time.
By this whole thing about the Great Resignation, people are tired of getting treated like garbage.
Yeah.
It's not unemployment. We're not getting any more money. We just don't want to be treated like garbage for little money.
Yeah, and you went through during the pandemic as a frontline worker, and again, you did all the right things.
Yep.
And were let go by Instacart.
Yes. Yeah. I wasn't a contractor. I worked for them. I was an employee. And they cut all of the people who were in-store shoppers from the entire thing.
Throughout the pandemic.
So across the board. They got rid of all of us because it's cheaper to have contract workers.
Yes.
So all the people who...
No benefits, no...
Yeah. You don't even have to take taxes out and do all that kind of stuff. It's all on them.
It's all the business end of it. Yeah. So we are talking about what's going on. Oh, let's take a break here and get to the calls from Bill and Roosevelt when we come back. We are talking about Rittenhouse. I'm also trying to... it's a lot. It's like this day is like drinking out of a fire hydrant, and we'll continue our conversation when we come back. What are your thoughts on President Biden's statements, or Governor Pritzker's, perhaps Lori Lightfoot's? Mayor Lightfoot talked about we cannot have vigilante justice. The president talked about how he respects the decision of the jury. This is how our justice system. I mean, and that's to a lot of people. This is how our justice system works. Right back after this on Driving It Home. When you call, Lady B is manning the phones today. So 773-763. 773-763-WCPT. More in a moment.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
Slowdowns on the Kennedy stop and go between Cumberland and Montrose. Once you get to Montrose all the way to the junction, solid traffic. A 75-minute drive from O'Hare to downtown right now. Montrose to the Burn, you've got a 33-minute trip ahead of you. Outbound on the Kennedy, Burn to Montrose, stacked up, solid traffic. 41 minutes to Montrose out to the airport. An hour and 3 minutes. Eisenhower inbound between Reagan and Austin. It's standing still as well. 75 minutes inbound Eisenhower from 390 to the old post office. Going to take you 53 minutes to get in from Wolf. You've also got delays on the Dan Ryan inbound between 31st and the Burn. That's stacked up. 28 minutes from 95th to the Burn. And the outbound lanes, 31st to the Skyway, solid as well. That's traffic. I'm Don Stuck.
It takes two vaccines to help protect you this season, the flu and COVID-19. And now you can get both shots at the same visit. Learn more at cdc.gov/vaccines.
Sponsored by Sanofi Pasteur.
If you're like most people, you're probably more than a little concerned about the state of the world around us today. Strange times. The stock market all-time highs every day. U.S. debt never been higher right now. Dollars losing value. And let's not forget about inflation, the highest since 2008. Remember what happened in 2008. So how do you protect your money, your retirement, your savings? Well, many people, just like you, are turning to Old Faithful to protect themselves during these difficult times. And Old Faithful is real gold and silver from the Oxford Gold Group, the kind you can actually hold in your hands and have in your IRA. No better time than the present to protect your future and the future of your family. Call the Oxford Gold Group right now, 833-928-GOLD. They will send you their free guide on investing in gold and silver and answer all of your questions. Protect your money before things get even worse out there. Call the Oxford Gold Group today at 833-928-GOLD. Oxford is here to help you protect your savings and retirement. That's 833-928-GOLD.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
My friend Marty, he wants to split the party. He wants blue folks in red states to vote green. I can see his point, though I really gotta say, no, we can't have another 2016. It seems nothing beats orange, nothing even freaking rhymes with it. What's a battered nation supposed to do? His Royal Orange Highness, he does love to divide us. We gotta stick together and vote blue. When I recycle, I'm green, green as green can be. I do my level best, yes, it's true. But when I'm voting in November, I promise to remember it's us against him, gotta vote blue.
And that continues to be the case. Steve Goody wrote the song during the pandemic vacation before, it's his album, What I Did During My Pandemic Vacation, and it was before the presidential election. But I think we're still voting against Trump because there's so many Republicans, and we see it today with the Rittenhouse verdict, where the death, like calling for the assassination of AOC, and Republicans are like, yeah, it's freedom of speech.
Fine.
Yeah. What is happening? I've said this before, and it is Democrats are not great at being ruthless.
No.
And so I don't have that bone in me to be ruthless, like constantly having that level of disassociation of kindness. I just can't. I can't do it.
It's difficult.
But we have to be relentless. So, but we also have to pace ourselves because this is a marathon, not a sprint. You can't go all out and be like, well, that didn't work, I'm not going to bother. Then you become cynical. You have to think this as a process. You have to keep showing up, whether it's getting people registered to vote or getting people out to vote, phone banking, writing letters, even just reading more. Or listening more, softening your heart to people who are telling you they're in pain, that a day like this hurts.
Yeah, different experiences from different people. That's really, I think, what helps open up a lot of people.
I think so,
because
too.
they have a very tunnel vision, and it's like, just open up a little bit. Even if it doesn't have to be political. Just somebody who's different from you, talking about how they live their lives.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's not hard.
It's not hard. Is it hard, Roosevelt? What do you think? Hey, Roosevelt.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Lovely to hear from you.
I'm sorry I tuned in late. Who's that with you?
That's Esmeralda Leon.
Oh, Nick
boy.
Julio.
Hey,
Esmeralda,
I'll tell you right now.
I've been good. Still here. Still kicking.
Wow.
Isn't it great to hear her? It's good to see her too. Just so you know.
I had a couple of things that I wanted to bring up as far as the trial.
Uh-huh.
Everybody talks about how the prosecution made mistakes. What about the judge's mistakes?
Oh, well.
If you want to call them that. Okay, let me point them out. So accidentally his phone rings, and it happens to be the same song by Lee, what's his name? Lee, I can't think of it. God bless the USA. Lee,
yeah, it was a Trump theme.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he used it for his campaigns and things. That's what was
So he's supposed to set an example in court about keeping your phone off, but it rings accidentally or whatever, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing. He drops the charges of the weapon that he had, okay? So nobody could tag him with that charge. He directs the jury in a certain way. He yells constantly at the prosecution. And so then why aren't more people talking about the fact that the judge was biased from the get-go by saying that the people that died and the wounded were rioters, arsonists, and agitators or whatever he said.
Yeah, he didn't want to call them victims.
Yeah.
He said
I never heard of that. Never heard of a case where there's people that died and they don't refer to them as victims. They refer to them as arsonists and agitators or rioters or whatever he said. So that's the point I wanted to bring up. And last but not least, where was the police in all of this? Because time and time again, I brought this up on your show, Patty, last week, I believe. You get the police saying, well, it was self-defense because the kid had a gun, such as the kid that had the toy gun, which he was an African-American.
In Ohio, right.
Yeah, and the Mexican-American here in a little village.
Adam Toledo.
So he used the same tactics, the same words that the police used. He's practically part of the police because they didn't tell him drop the weapon or did he, after the shots or during, or do I have it wrong? And what was the report from I believe, the first week of the trial that the police handed him a bottle of water? I don't know where that came from.
I saw the video of that when this all went down last year.
Mm-hmm.
Of them handing him water.
Yeah, just waving him through.
So that's my point. I mean, it was completely biased. And how do you get away? Because you get these conservatives, NRA card members, and they say every state has got its own law, but yet this guy goes from one state to the other with different laws, right? So how is that not partially brought up?
Right. There's so many things, and there are days like this when I'm like, I really do wish I'd gone to law school. This is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes think that way?
Yes and no. I once sat in on a class with somebody I knew who was going to law school. I fell asleep, so
no,
it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, these are the days when I'm like, and it's not that it's too late. So my mom is listening.
That's true.
My mom is listening, and she's always wanted me to go to law school. So maybe that's the thing I do in the next year or two. And
there you go.
Now there's more options to do it remotely and do a hybrid thing. Mm-hmm. What about you, Roosevelt? You gonna get your law degree so we don't have
Let's all get our law degrees.
Because that seems
it's too complicated.
Well,
on days like this, it seems hopeless. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. Thanks so much, Roosevelt.
One more thing.
Oh yes, go ahead.
One more thing I got to say, and that is that to say that there's not a black-white issue, the whole thing was because of a black-white issue. I believe it started with the African American gentleman that got shot, I don't know how many times. Was it 7 times or something? I don't know. So it's ridiculous, and to say that nobody's going to copy this guy. Of course they're going to copy this guy. And the sales of from the NRA are going to go way up. And you already got that idiot, Matt Gaetz, saying that he'll hire him for an intern. So that tells you. It
was Jacob Blake who was paralyzed in that police shooting. Yes. Yeah. That spurred the protests, and it came in the wake of George Floyd protests throughout the country. And I think people were riled up. They wanted to be a part of. Rittenhouse wanted to be a part of the action. He put himself there, and I think about what Renato Mariotti, former federal prosecutor, said earlier in the week, that a lot of the argument needed to be, why was he there? What was he looking for? Yeah, because it seems like he got what he was looking for, which was a being on the action. He
seems premeditated,
a cosplayer,
Yeah.
And Patty, the thing is, I don't know. To me, I look at it different. That's why I will never make a good lawyer, I guess. But to me, I look at it. Wasn't it premeditated? I mean, didn't he think? Let's see, what kind of gun should I take there? So that was premeditated. That's a gun to intimidate people.
Yeah.
And then he had gloves. What does that tell you?
Right. Well, because I can't. Right, we need to get our law degrees.
We're not lawyers.
Well,
so.
Let's take our LSATs together, everybody.
Oh boy.
Study group starts next week. Have a great weekend, Roosevelt.
Thank you, ladies, and have a good Turkey Day, both of you. Esmeralda, pleasure talking to you again.
Oh, thank you. You too.
You can catch us both, all us and Adam Selzer and Elliot Serrano at 6:30 on Whiskey and a Cookie on my Facebook page. Go to Patty V Show.
Okay.
Sound good?
Okay.
We'll be there.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the time.
Absolutely. Have a good night. I want to read a comment from, actually, this is a candidate for sheriff, for Cook County Sheriff. She's running against Tom Dart. She's watching the show. Carmen Navarro, Jercone says, I just lost it, Carmen. I'm sorry. It was gosh darn it, because it scrolls up, but it was stay hopeful, stay committed, stay the course kind of an idea, because folks are talking about how I mentioned we need to be relentless, because we are not good at being ruthless. That was the whole thing about when Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. I want to go torched earth. How do we go zero? Ask given.
I want to go real low.
I don't want to go low.
I kind of do, but I'm not good. Yeah,
we're not. And we were talking about this yesterday, and I talk about my race. I know, but Democrats are better at eating their own. Democrats are better at being ruthless to each other, like Lindsay LaPointe and Robert Martwick were in my race, completely unfazed by the fact that they were putting out mailers that weaponize the trauma of domestic violence survivors and rape survivors. Then they'll do that to each other, maybe because it's safe, or they don't want to take somebody. I don't know, because they're the machine.
How do you then go back on that? How do you justify that when someone asks you?
Well, as they're like, what she says? She needed to distinguish herself from me.
That sounds awful.
I just
this is how you're doing it.
And the other thing is, and the reason it came out, it's fresh for me, and today I'm feeling raw in the wake of the Rittenhouse trial and the CPS news about these kids that were the targets of sexual harassment, abuse, and assault at an academy in Logan Square. Is there? Oh, so there was also a case yesterday where this young man had raped women and was not sentenced. This is on the East Coast. He was not sentenced. The judge essentially saying that he figures that having this hang over this young man's head was a lot of pressure. Right.
Of course.
And that's my thing about local legislators. That in that state, that whatever the way that judge read that law or delivered that decision is ultimately based on how we elect our local state legislators. And to your point, how do you walk back from having done that, Lindsay LaPointe, and then say that you stand up for women when you actually in that action did not, in fact, stand up for women?
Why would you say that if that's
that? And that is ruthless. So against each other, as somebody mentioned yesterday, we will eat our own and then cower before Republicans.
Yeah.
And on days like this, it hurts because it's hard to lose, or to feel as though justice does not prevail.
Exactly. Yeah. You said it correctly. Or right. Or Good.
I said the things. I said what I said.
Yeah.
Before we go to the break, I know that Bill's been on hold. I thank you for your patience. Hey, Bill, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I had a lot of things, but I want to thank WCPT because this is one of the last bastions of democracy, even within a blue state like Illinois, So thank you for that. I do notice a little bit of circular firing squad sometimes on the station, but I will put up with that rather than listen to all these right-wing stations. Beyond that, if you have something to say, I'll stop.
No, you're fine. I agree. That's my point. Is that we aren't. Then the reason we'll have a circular firing squad is because we can. You know what it is? I know what it is. We can hold more than one thought in our heads at the same time. Mm-hmm. So we are dealing with the information as it comes up, and so we're working through it. But Republicans they're very single-minded. It's abortion. It's guns. It's Democrats are socialists and commies. I mean, like they're very specific, and we're like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
And also, it feels like it's a very black and white situation for them, although it isn't. It's a very white situation, but but you know what I mean. There's gray areas.
Yep.
There's a lot of gray areas.
Yep. Go ahead, Bill.
Democratic Party has much more nuanced positions, and it's not just like cut taxes and be able to shoot people when you want to. I mean, But beyond that, I would caution you not to engage these gunsplainer people. Because maybe you got them on there today. I don't know. But
no.
I don't. But again, like with the gun, what it's called or what the technical terms are mean nothing. I mean, the thing that frightens me is that people can buy guns now that can fire and kill, many rounds in a short time, easily reload, and what really gets me is that they're so powerful, you could shoot through the wall of a regular stud frame house and kill somebody inside, even by accident. So why that should be allowed, I cannot comprehend. But let me say one final thing. I don't know if you watch 60 Minutes. They have a lot of good shows. They had one on last Sunday where they had two guys from Missouri who were on a crusade to loosen the gun laws around the entire United States.
How loose are we going to get them?
And this is the thing that got me. In the course of the conversation, one of the two guys said, well, my 7-year-old owns many firearms. And I was shocked that the interviewer didn't call them on that. But then I looked it up later, and I saw that in the state of Missouri, there is no minimum age to own a firearm.
See, but then to me, I'm also like, is he running around and shooting with them? Because I understand the whole thing of if you want a gun, you want to go shoot it at a range, or you want to go shoot it in some backyard where there's nobody, and you want to target and whatever, or you like to just guns are your thing. That's fine. Just the killing bit is my issue.
Well, yeah, but
it's a big issue to have.
It's the killing bit.
They like to talk about responsibility, but I've seen numerous news stories where a gun owner, lawful or otherwise, lets a child get a hold of a gun.
Yeah.
And then they shoot somebody else, and then the gun owner in the NRA says, well, that's not that gun owner's fault, blah, blah, blah. There was one story from years back where a police officer in a police car had his 8-year-old son in the back seat. Another cop approached. The kid in the back seat picked up from the back seat the cop's loaded firearm, shot the other approaching cop. Thank God, that other cop survived, but there were no charges brought against that cop who let his 8-year-old son get his hands on that loaded gun.
Yeah, the responsibility bit.
Yeah.
That's, for some reason, people don't want to.
No.
They want to take the responsibility.
And then it's taken as a threat to gun ownership rights, which is what Bill's talking about.
It's like, no, we just accountability, responsibility.
And to Bill's point about how many that you can kill so many people at one, the Las Vegas shooting. Like, when we were saying earlier, I asked if you would feel perhaps hesitant to go to a protest. When I went to the Women's March recently, the Women's Reproductive Health March in response to Texas, I looked around at windows to see if I thought about it. If there were open windows somewhere and too many movies, but also real news. it's a combination.
Yeah.
In light of the insurrection on January 6th, a proposal they have is to cordon off that whole large area, and then everybody must pass through security just to get in there.
Wow.
But I like that idea.
Yeah, it's a shame that they've pushed us to that. Is my sigh. That was my.
Yeah.
But guns are not allowed there. But that's the only way to make sure that people aren't bringing guns and or bombs in there.
You know what? This is a good point, and I know I'm pushing up against a late break, but I will say this. That's why there was no shooting on January 6th. They weren't afraid for their lives.
No.
They felt welcomed. They felt entitled to be there. They were not afraid for their lives.
Yeah.
That's why there was no shooting.
Even though they weren't allowed
there was beatings,
to go in either. They just walked in like, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah. I mean, even had some law enforcement that
through a window.
Yeah, through a window and taking a crap in a legislator's office. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much, Bill. I'm sorry. Did you have I didn't want to cut you off. Did you have any other thoughts?
No, you gave me more time than I even anticipated.
Oh.
I could talk for another hour, but thank you.
You have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Let's take a break here and head into the home stretch. If you have some thoughts before we call it a night, give us a call, 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-WCPT is the number to call and text us. We'll be right back. Esmeralda Leon joins me in studio. It's so good to have you here. We just need to make a regular thing. Pick a date and come. More after this.
Are you one of the millions of homeowners who haven't refinanced yet? If so, I'm here to tell you it's not too late. Hi, I'm Wesley Hogan with Westland Financial. Although the lowest rates may be in our rearview mirror, as the economy recovers from the biggest economic shock of our lifetime, rates still remain near historic lows. In fact, with the dramatic increase in home values, this may be the perfect time to put that new home equity to work. Take advantage of our cash-out refi program and pay off high-rate credit cards, car loans, or other high-interest rate debt. Or finally make those home improvements you put on hold for so long. Best of all, we can do this with no closing costs. That's right. Whether it's a conventional, FHA, or VA loan, we'll pay for your title, settlement, lender, and recording fees. So call Westland at 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. 888-455-3669.
Paid for by Westland Financial. NMLS number 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Make our way down this open road. All regrets are left back in the dust. I'm okay to take the wheel while you draw so near. A time to rediscover and to trust. We needed this ride, waited for so long. Now I just want to make each second last. Your hand touching mine around the narrow curves. I'll do my best not to drive too fast.
Oh, we're driving fast. That is Chris Jones. You can go to chrisjonesgrass.com for all the great music he writes, performs. He also hosts a show on XM Sirius, and I love his music. So that's I was in studio a couple weeks ago. Esmeralda Leon joins me in studio, and we're going out for dinner. After we do Whiskey and a Cookie, which you can check out my Patti V Show page on Facebook. That's PATTIV Show, and we start a show at 6:30 called Whiskey and a Cookie, which we've been doing for years, basically talking about all the biggest news stories. I know we have a lot to talk about tonight. The concept being you don't have to drink. We get a lot of people who are like, you're encouraging drinking. I get that. It's called whiskey, but it's more about how we consume.
We don't force people.
We don't force people
to drink.
But the idea being you need a way to sort of get through it, and for some people, it's something hard and something sugary is kind of
something.
the idea.
It's responsible.
We're
responsibly.
Absolutely responsible. I've had most of it in my basement.
There you go. See,
you're going to see my basement today. We tried to straighten out a little bit for you. It was what Carmen said. I went back to look at the comments. Carmen Navarro Jercone says, "Stay focused, stay committed, stay hopeful." We were talking about being relentless.
Yes,
and she says there is no point of return when you target people for personal gain. There are repercussions. Yeah, there are. Just stay the course and people will make the right choices. And a lot of folks excited that you're here, asking for you to come back. Lamont and Bridget and Margaret. And so this is the thing. We have launched Heartland Signal, which is a partner with WCPT. It's the newsroom. It's the multi-platform social media. So we're excited to have a collaboration. Thomas has some thoughts before we... Oh, we're going, by the way, before I forget, I was saying we're going to the Gale Street. So I had taken Elliot, because all you, Elliot, and Adam have all been so kind to join me for a Whiskey and a Cookie without any...
Oh, come on.
I mean, we've spent hours on Friday nights.
Very kind of you to let us be there.
Stop. But I wanted to take it out for dinner, and I had the chance to take Elliot out a while ago. And when you came in, we were in my backyard, and it was so nice out that we just kind of hung out.
Yeah.
And so tonight I'm taking you for Gale Street because they have the best food on the Northwest Side, if not the city of Chicago. But I've been going there since I was 5 years old.
Oh wow!
Yeah, since I was little. My parents. That was our fancy celebration joint.
That's great.
So I'm celebrating with you. It's my tradition. Thomas from Chicago has some comments. Hey, Thomas, what's on your mind before we head out?
Hi, Patty. Hi, Esmeralda. Welcome back, both of you.
Oh, thank you.
And I miss you guys from the old station. How's Nick doing, by the way, if you can answer that one?
He's good, actually, if you would like. He does have a YouTube page.
Yes.
So look him up on YouTube. He's posting stuff, things every day.
Movie reviews and perspective.
So you can follow him there on Facebook. Just look up Nick DiGilio.
I think he did a video about some woman that peed on audience goers. Yeah, that's law. I'm sorry, everybody. Erase. Let's go with your thoughts, Thomas. What's on your mind?
Okay, I was just calling. I was just going to say my fear now is the hero worship that this man-child shall become to the right-wing mega maniacs, and how he might, garner wealth from just being a hero to these people in the future.
I hope what happens is like George Zimmerman. He just kind of, it happened, and he's not famous really. I mean, he is, but not in that, not in a good sense.
No.
He's, I think, making money, goodness knows how. But it's not well.
But it was also when we didn't have social media and the sort of vigilante worship. Thomas, we were getting a little bit of background noise, so I put you on hold. I want to thank you so much for calling in, and we will talk to you again soon. It was just like a little bit of a scratch on there. And let me Judy, before we go, I just want to say, first of all, Judy, I got to run, but happy weekend. What's on your mind before we go?
I was just telling Lady B that this kid is a wannabe kid. I'll bet he hasn't got a friend. I bet he hasn't got a girlfriend.
He does now. He's got a lot of friends.
Now.
Yeah, he does.
But I think that's why he went. I think I was reading his body language. He just walked around like, "Hey, look what I did."
She's got a good point. Sure. He wasn't with anybody. I mean, he had
at the protest?
Yeah.
Well,
he had that friend, but I don't know if the friend went with him.
Yeah.
The one who bought him the gun.
He did. I mean, he did have that loner look to him.
That's his sister's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good point, Judy. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too.
Always great.
Maybe I have a whole bunch of things to unload. Maybe I'll try Monday.
Absolutely. I'll be here. Have a good week. Yeah.
Okay,
Save it up, and deep breaths all weekend too, by the way. Pace yourself. It's all good. Take care. We have to keep showing up, so I hope that you keep showing up with me here.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to have you. Let's go do Whiskey and a Cookie in some Gale Street. Have a great weekend, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Rick Unger shows up next. Thank you, Lady B. Love you. Bye.
Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is a company town, and the business is incarceration.
A new original series from the co-creator